In an impassioned address to the State Department's Religious Freedom meeting, retired Representative Frank Wolf says the time to end persecution is now. Wolf told that gathering that, as a follower of Jesus, Scripture gives little choice but to respond to the oppression. Joining me now is former Congressman Frank Wolf. Thank you for coming.
Well, good to be with you. Thank you.
You addressed this first ever ministerial to advance religious freedom. When I interviewed Secretary of State Pompeo last week ahead of the ministerial, he said that these like-minded countries coming together would be prepared to begin their walk toward religious freedom we have enshrined in our Constitution. Will this gathering lead to action?
I think it will, because Pompeo cares deeply. I think Vice President Pence cares very, very deeply. Ambassador Brownback, this is in his DNA, and he cares deeply, and also Administrator Green. So I think it will. I'm very, very optimistic about it.
Let's turn to the religious refugees. There are many people who are persecuted. There are many of those who have fled their country, and yet many more who are seeking asylum in other countries. When I interviewed a human rights lawyer and a religious freedom advocate earlier this week, she told me she was only aware of 2 Syrian Christians who have been admitted to the U.S. this year. How do we balance the need to protect these refugees with security concerns?
Well, I don't know if that number is accurate. I know when I was in Iraq just 2 weeks ago, almost every Christian that I met with, we met with Bishop Werder, who I know you know very well, they want to stay. And what they're looking for is our government, which I think it will, to give them assistance to rebuilding homes, power grids, water treatment systems. So most of them are saying, help us stay, because, you know, more biblical, and I know you've been there, I've watched your shows, more biblical activity took place in Iraq than almost any other country other than Israel. Abraham's from there. ISIS blew up Jonah's tomb. Daniel's buried there. So most that we met with say, please help us stay because we love our country.
It was the same thing that I heard a year ago when we were there. Tell us what has happened in that year. Here's some of the burned out towns, the rubble that we saw. Houses were just sort of flattened. Nobody is there. They're ghost towns. Are people able to rebuild it all? I know the U.S. is giving $110 million to help in that effort.
Yes, I was there last August, and we were there two weeks ago. They are building. 50% of the Christians have come back. The power system is up. The water systems are working. Many of the houses have been reconstructed. But they want more. They need health care. They also need security. There needs to be something to protect those that come back. But they are very optimistic, and what was happening, and because of Vice President Pence, that's changing. Our aid was going to the UN, and UNDP were putting in places that we didn't really know.
And now the aid is going directly
to
the
people. Christians and Yazidis.
When you and I testified in front of Representative Chris Smith's committee, that was one of the pleas that we heard from people. So thank you so much for joining us, former Congressman Frank Wolf.
Thank you very much.